Back to a brand new episode of Ready to Write. It is, as we reminded yesterday, we're in the final countdown, the final days of October. And so today's episode, I gave you a little spoiler alert yesterday, or I gave you a sneak peek if you heard yesterday's or watched yesterday's episode. Today is called Don't Be a Diva. And if you're a gentleman, you can still not be a diva. This is really about how you approach this writing adventure and allowing it to be the best possible experience for you, but also for the people that you do life with. And I actually have a Bible reference for this one, and it's slightly tenuous link. I don't have the reference, but I have a Bible verse that comes to mind, because as I was pondering on this, I was reminded of what Jesus said to people. He said, when you fast, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, when you fast, don't go around all doom and gloom and, oh, woe is me, I'm fasting. Oh, look at me, I'm fasting. He said, wash your hair, put oil on your head, which we don't tend to do now, but in a now context, that would be have a shower, get dressed, put a smile on your face. Don't let your outward appearance show that you are fasting, is what he said. And I want us to apply this to those things that we are doing that are important to us, that sometimes require us to have a little bit of discipline. And so as it pertains to this series, we are of course thinking about writing, but you can apply this to anything really in your life where you're having to show up consistently, not having to, watch your language, choosing to show up consistently because of an end goal somewhere off in the future. The example I'm going to give you is me and that bloomin' treadmill again. No, that wonderful treadmill. This morning, I got up quite happily. Yesterday morning, I was like, oh, really? Do I want to do this? But I got up and did it anyway. And making sure that, everybody else was asleep when I got up. So there'd be no chance to go, oh, woe is me, I've been on the treadmill. But if I went on the treadmill and then afterwards was like, oh, I'm just so tired, I've been on the treadmill, look at me. That would be a really rubbish way to start the day for the people that I do life with. Instead, this is about choosing to go, I'm choosing to do this for reasons, what is your why? I'm sleeping better, my VO2 max is better, and as a result, my resting heart rate is better. It's having a good impact. Apply this to your writing as well. So yes, choose when you're going to do this, what your writing space looks like. Be aware of your environment and then put a smile on your face. You do not need to approach this writing adventure from the tortured artist or the starving artist frame of mind. It ties in with what we said yesterday as well about watching your language. And as well, pay attention to how you're showing up, where you're choosing to do your writing, remembering that it's an experiment, it's a game. Just because you choose to write at, 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, when you start this adventure, if it's not serving you and it's not serving the people you do life with, you're allowed to change how you do things, switch it up. These live recordings of the podcast, for example, of that, throughout October, as an experiment, we've been doing them at 8:30 in the morning, apart from the very first morning, when there was a technical snafu, and we did it in the afternoon instead. But we've been doing it at 8:30 in the morning. Quite transparently, well, in November, not immediately, but the plan moving forward, as I've got it at the moment, is that every month-ish, we're going to have a different topic. And so we're going to keep on doing this, which I'm excited about. What I'm not excited about is the idea of continuing doing it at 8:30. Not that I'm asleep. No, I'm not. I'm an early bird. I love being awake now. But get the children go off to school, and I say, most of the time I don't have to drive them because Caitlin drives them. She's passed her driving test. However, still, even though I don't have to physically go anywhere, there's having that pressure of 8:30. There's something about it. Okay, if all of a sudden the guinea pig starts squeaking and they demand food immediately, or something happens, there's no wiggle room there. So from November, we're going to tweak the time a little bit because it will serve better within the context of how we do life. And this applies to you and your writing as well. If it's not serving you, don't be a diva about it. Don't feel like you have to carry on doing it that way forever and ever. Instead, you can choose to change the time that you do it. The dog is now trying to get out the door. Bear with. Oops, good girl. And remember that you're doing real life out loud. You don't get to edit how you do life. Quite transparently, we will edit out that for the podcast, because there's editing involved. But for those of you who are watching this on social media, you're going to see me dash off, let the dog out and come back. What's the reminder from that? The reminder is you get to do real life out loud. You don't get an edit button on how you show up. So what if we choose to show up intentionally? And yes, some days you're not going to get it right. Some days you're going to need to say sorry to people. Some days you're going to need to say sorry to yourself. But if your default position is, okay, I'm not going to be a diva about this, I'm going to approach this with a sense of fun and allow this to be an adventure, it will make it more pleasant for you and more pleasant for the people that you do life with. And actually, as I'm talking, I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm going to leave that in for the podcast people too, because it's an important reminder. So your plaything today is, I want you to start thinking about the environment, what the setup that you have physically, where will you be writing? And remember, you can apply this to other goals and other things that you're working on as well. But we're going to specifically mention writing because that's the focus of these episodes. Where are you going to be doing your writing? When are you going to be doing your writing? And then think about the pieces that surround that. How you can, metaphorically speaking, show up, having showered and dressed and looking great and ready for the day. You don't actually need to be showered and dressed and looking great and ready for the day. You can write at 5 o'clock in the morning in your PJs. I don't mean that. It's a metaphor. Going back to that verse from where Jesus talks about fasting. I want you to approach this with anticipation, excitement, fun, but do not, God helping you, do not go to this, oh, I've got to write again today. That's rough, really rough. It's rough for you and it's rough for the people around you. Don't be a diva about this. You are choosing to write this. There's a reason why you're doing it. Go back to what's your why, and watch your language as you go through this process. You're not doing this, you might be doing this for the sheer joy of doing it, and that's great and that's wonderful, but there is a bigger purpose at play here. So if you haven't already, tap into what is your why. Go back to that episode if you need a reminder. Why are you doing this? Maybe there's a message that you want to put out there in the world. It's important. And at the same time, you can set yourself up to do this in a way that enriches you and the people that you do life with. Speaking of enriching, with that reminder, we do have the Rainbow Room inside the Blue House, which is to help you plan, write, publish and market your book. So if as these episodes are coming to an end, you're like, I don't want this to finish. Bless you, that's so sweet. And I'd invite you to consider coming joining us in the Rainbow Room. We do have there's video training to help walk you through those pieces. We also get together every week on Zoom to answer your questions and explore and do life. Plus you get all of the other perks of being in the Blue House, including the one-day event, the Tuesday Zooms and lots of lovely good stuff like that. It's community. It's brilliant. I love it. I feel so blessed to get to lead everything that we're doing there. Anyway, that's my reminder for you. Your plaything, as a reminder. Think about your environment. Think about where you're going to be doing your writing. What does it look like for you to show up and embrace this with a sense of adventure so that you can enjoy the process? Explore it with God. With that reminder, if you're not sure how to explore stuff with God, go and get the Youier book. Start there. But I'm sure most of you watching this now, you've heard that reminder enough times. Have fun with it. I recognise this episode is a little bit shorter than normal. That gives you a bit more time to go and explore and do your plaything so that you don't be a diva. We'll be back tomorrow. As always, thank you for being here and allowing me to share this. If you have any questions, you can pop them underneath where you're listening to this episode. Blue House members, you can pop it in the Blue House. Podcast listeners, do it on the Youier Telegram channel. And finally, if you have any friends, family, people that you do life with who you like, even if you don't like them, but I imagine that anyway, people that you like, that you or who you think would benefit from these episodes, please do share it with them because I don't know who I don't know. And thank you in advance for doing so. I shall catch up with you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.